Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast of Istanbul Slush'D. I'm Burcu Ağma. I'm the co-founder of Connect Mind AI, and today your host as we bring together some of the most influential leaders who are shaping the future of technology, venture, and entrepreneurship. And I'm thrilled to have Walid Mansour with us here, co-founder and managing partner of Middle East Venture Partners, one of the most active VC firms in MENA. Walid has backed regional champions in the region and has actually shaped the regions of Dubai and Riyadh into fast-growing startup ecosystems. Walid, it's such an honor to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you very much. The honor is mine.
We're super excited because this is the first time Slush is in Istanbul. So I want to just start off by saying, what's your feeling about the whole dynamic since yesterday here, the networking feel? Like, how did you see the ecosystem come together in Istanbul?
So first of all, I love Istanbul as a city, and I've been here many, many times, and I have a lot of friends, and it's a wonderful city to visit, whether it's for tourism or business or just a getaway weekend. And we're 3 hours away, so
That's true.
It's not, and the weather happens to be fantastic. I've been coming to Turkey and investing in Turkey I did invest in the past, so I've kind of saw the evolution of the entrepreneurial ecosystem for the past 15 years. Although the past 5 years, 5 to 6 years, we've been really centered on the GCC area. So it's always great to come back. For me, it's been super, nice to reconnect with old friends.
That's awesome.
That was, for me, the opportunity to see a lot of people I haven't seen in so many years in the ecosystem, in venture capital, in technology. Also, I've met new friends and new.
That's great.
And the energy is fantastic, and I think Istanbul needs it because it has been into a lot of these ups and downs in building that ecosystem, having a international fun festival, if I want to call it festival, would be great thing to have.
That's amazing to hear, especially from you. And we know that you've backed regional champions like Angami. So what I'm actually curious about, like from your experience, what founder traits are consistently bringing success? Because I know there are a lot of entrepreneurs that are going to be listening to this podcast.
Absolutely. I mean, in hindsight, you analyze and understand what are those traits. In the beginning, you're always sucked into the story, into the promise, into the whatever excitement that a company can or an idea can give you. It's really after having gone through many of the iterations, and it's specifically the failures, more than the successes, where you start, building an opinion. And for me, I think it's very clear that there is a specific type of people who can go through enough pain over the years to develop successful businesses. There are very rarely shortcuts. Those are incremental efforts by people who are willing to stick to something for 10 years, 12 years, 15 years. It's a really, it's a crafting business. You also need a certain resilience in accepting your journey, the ups and downs. I've seen entrepreneurs who really get, never lose a dime of excitement, and others who've been really gone through a lot of hardship. Building those it depends on who you're talking. I've also recently been paying a lot of attention to your ability to build teams and build cultures in your companies that are sustainable.
Oh, that's so critical.
Yeah, exactly. So it's I think there are people who are going to be very resilient, very stubborn, super hardworking, focused. They're gonna go and build businesses, but they're gonna fail in building a sticky culture. And the best way to see whether culture work is to talk about the people who are in those companies and how do they feel, how do they and it shows if they're happy, if they're excited, if they're or if they're on the contrary, part of a miserable culture. So it also needs a certain maturity and understanding of the importance of building a culture of people who are with you for the next, I don't know how many years, with the ups and the downs, who can show up when growth is there, and but can also show up when hard times are there, and you need to take some very hard, life depending decisions.
Totally. So it's not just about, I mean, some of the things that really stood out to me from what you're saying is like, one, you're not always going to have an amazingly beautiful butterflies all around story. There's going to be ups and downs. And as a leader, you really need to have a look at the culture that you're creating, in addition to the product or service that you're creating. That's amazing to note. And one thing that I'm actually curious again personally about is whether if you think for the global investors, if there are things that they misunderstand about the region in MENA, or if there are things that you think should be more in our story of what's unique about this region for investors.
First of all, we've gone a long way in building a venture capital technology ecosystem over the past, name it, right? We've really gone a long way because those are, digital companies, AI companies that really go and disrupt certain existing sectors. So you really need to understand a local problem, craft a product, solve it, scale, build a culture, build a company, build the outcome locally, and that needs people who actually can see that journey with you, and whether they're investors or employees or so there's a lot of convincing that has to be done to onboard those partners. Investors, at the end of the day, there's a whole type of world of investors: short-term, long-term, strategic, non-strategic, financial, pure financial. So specifically when it comes to the international ones, I've noticed that it depends where they're coming from, and it depends on the how relevant is that specific market that they want to be part of. So let's talk about our markets in MENA. We're known for being fragmented because it's multiple countries. So it becomes very difficult to build businesses that are cross-border, right?
Yeah.
So, but that is very valuable. So this is why, international investors who come and say this business opportunity is valuable is because that company was able to aggregate multiple markets, and that's huge value on its own. The problem is, but you see that problem in Southeast Asia. You also see it in Europe, and you see it in Europe where Europe has, passportability, common borders. You still see the same problem of tech companies not being able to be, aggregating multiple markets. So that's very important for attracting foreign capital. Second is, I think we're more and more living and with the introduction of the latest technologies and latest consumer behavior on a global level, changing toward more globalized, more integrated company. You're going to see more businesses that are global first, that are coming out of this part of the world, and we've backed a few that became really global success stories, not just regional. So we're not anymore thinking about just what is the regional play that we back. That's always, it's always there. But we've actually been backing companies who've been global successes in software, in fintechs, in different areas. And we're going to see more and more of those. And maybe also AI applications and AI technologies will allow you to see more of that. There's a global audience. It doesn't matter where the innovation comes from. It can come from here. It can come from anywhere. So that's also attracting, I guess, interest in our geographies.
Tying to that, do you think the pitch should differ from, for example, a Silicon Valley pitch versus a Turkish entrepreneur coming to a Middle East venture partner, where you want to see something different, something unique, specific that's coming to you?
So we rarely react to a pitch. It's the, it's pitches are nice, but take it personally. You meet somebody, and then you're gonna have a 5-minute conversation and that's the only data points you have on that person, that's not enough to form an opinion. You never know that person is good, bad,
Yeah.
So it's really, our business is because we get 1,000 pitch. So, what are the 5 or 6 or 7 that you're going to really, so it's never really about the pitch. I think the pitch is more of an icebreaker towards understanding basically whether there's going to be chemistry or alliance or not alliance or alignment between our strategy and whether that and then whether that company is presenting. And then there's also an ecosystem. So in Dubai, for instance, you have a local community. There's people know each other. They've spent time to build relationships. There's always somebody who knows somebody who can speak in a good way or a bad way about somebody,
Of course.
or about an idea. So that's also important. That's also part of the context of the pitch. This is why VC is very local. This is why it's not an industry that you're not going to see a ton of VC companies that are global and doing, the same work in the US and in Asia and in Europe at the same time. Very few have really mastered that skill, is because fundamentally it's a local business, and the pitch is just the intro towards a more meaningful conversation and hopefully maybe alignment and investment.
The dynamic check that you guys are doing with the pitch. And imagine if you were into VC today and if you were building something in the region, what would you have been working on?
I mean, we live in a time where not only we have exciting markets and growing markets, we have very young population. We live in a part of the world where a huge percentage of population is less than 35 or 40 years old, which is extremely young, which creates opportunity, but also creates demand, and it creates needs, and it put a lot of a lot of pressure on the existing status quo. We also live in times where, as I said, you can build globally by being local. Maybe you have a cost advantage. So, for instance, UAE could be extremely expensive in certain areas, but let's say Turkey can not be, and talent at the end of the day is So countries like Turkey or Egypt, who have very large populations, have also very large good engineering base. So there's a lot of rotation that can come out of that. That's, if you're a tech company, is very important. Engineering is everything. Whereby smaller countries in population like the UAE, you can basically focus on a different type of value add. It could be access to markets. It could be regulators. For instance, UAE's regulators are always avant-garde when it comes to adopting technologies, whether it was in crypto or Web 3.0 or tokenization or fintechs or what have you. I think it's an incredible opportunity to be in this part of the world, to have a lot of advantages, but you have to go and kind of assemble them one by one. You have to take the best of every market.
Leveraging the full picture.
Exactly. So, the industry at the end of the day is your passion, right? There's a lot to be done in healthcare, in fintechs, in real estate, and pick your industry, whatever that is. I think because of these pressures and because of these opportunities to reinvent the value chain of every segment, that you can build multiple companies in each. You're in media, you're in marketing. You can see that how thriving these consumer markets are.
Totally.
And they're big. Saudi is a huge consumer market. It needs its own communication, its own product, its own, So it's exciting times anyway. I'd pick anything. I'd pick something that I eventually probably not only on paper will have the most impact, but also follow an industry that you like.
And to wrap it up, for all of the entrepreneurs who are seeking to shine in the region, if there was one last thing that you wanted to say to them as an inspiration, what would that be?
I'm not very good with inspirations, but I'm actually very excited for them. I'm very excited for some of those entrepreneurs who go into these new frontiers. Like maybe if the word frontier is too much, but they would go into Saudi, they would go into the UAE, they would set up a business there, they would move their life and start solving local problems. I find it to be extremely exciting because things are happening.
Yeah.
Right.
Very
so
fast.
Very
Yeah.
fast,
Yeah.
and somehow there's a quick. Not everybody succeeds. That's part of the game, but at least there's a lot of support that is there. So I'll go for it. I mean, keep at it.
That's awesome. Go for it. Keep at it. And we're wrapping it up there. Thank you so much, Walid. It was amazing to have you here. And we're hoping to see you again next year at Istanbul Slush'D.
Thank you very much. I look forward to coming back.
Thank you so much.